Welcome to the Future Jam, a show about current and future tech and how it interacts with society and either hurts us or helps us. I'm here with Alex.
Hi,
Hey, buddy.
everybody. Hey, how's it going, Mike?
It's going fantastic. I'm just getting used to this new weather we have going on right here. It's turning into winter.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect in November would get cold, but here we are.
It's out of nowhere. It's
Yeah,
kind of hits you out of nowhere. Because last week I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt,
yeah. I don't know, the
and
weather's, I'm
and
sure,
had my
like,
air conditioner going. And this week I'm wearing I had to buy gloves, a jacket, all sorts of stuff. I wasn't prepared.
it only went down to 50 degrees.
It was 35 today.
Yeah, in the morning, but just, oh, but,
I mean, when you have a dog and you're out there, like walking around, going to the dog park, it gets cold.
yeah, that's why you shouldn't have a dog. You
Yeah,
should
you're
only
right.
get, you should only get a dog for the summer months.
Are kids any better though, Alex? I say that dogs are harder to take care of than kids.
It just depends. You know, you're not training your dog to become like a well-adjusted member of society for the next 80 years.
Yeah, but do you have to teach your kids how to sit down? That's comes second nature to them.
Not really. They said like they kind of fall over and they have to get up there. You have to prop them up for a while.
Yeah, you're right. Dogs aren't as bad as I'm making them out to be.
I think
You're just not a dog person. You've always been anti-dog, and one
I,
day your heart will be won over. One day your heart will be won over by a dog. I think.
I don't hate dogs. I have no desire to take care of a dog.
I think that's borderline hate.
Like when I pass a dog in the street, like I tip my cat to them, they tip their cat to me, and we just keep walking.
I mean, I guess there's some dogs out there that wear hats these days. Yeah. So
It's the style at the time.
yeah, the only dog I know of that had a hat was Gruff the crime dog. I think his name was.
And Scooby Doo when he played the detective, he had the monocle.
But those are all fictional dogs. So you know, I don't believe you still that you like dogs, but that we'll save the dog chat for another day. Let's move into the dumb tech of the week. And I shared this with you, and you thought you were actually kind of interested in it. You actually might kickstart this project.
Not at all. I actually agreed 100% with you that this was stupid.
Did you really?
Yeah, I didn't. I did.
So what we're talking about is you've heard of the iPod, right? Everybody has.
Yeah, I
And
still have mine.
everybody uses their phone now because the iPods are kind of pointless now. Well, you might still have an iPod. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I still have mine. I use it at work occasionally. Got some like live albums on there that can't really find anywhere else.
So yeah, beside the point, um, there's this new project they're trying to get kickstarted called Sleeve Note, and it's a square touchscreen that Do you remember CDs, Alex?
Yeah, not that old, Mike.
Okay, so CDs used to have what's called sleeve art. You could pull them out. You could see the album artwork on the front, see all the contents of like the lyrics and artwork inside. And that's all missing now. There's no more album artwork and there's no more sleeve art. So this artist out there, he decided, let's make a music player that has a digital sleeve note. This is going to be great because people don't already have devices with touchscreens that can already have an app on them that can do this. I don't know what this guy's thinking. $700 for a player that you could probably just download an app and do the same thing on your phone.
Yeah, like the idea of it's cool. Like, you know, you want to be like the album notes and all about songs. Some albums do go a little bit more detailed than other ones. And I can see all like the lyrics and all. It sounds cool, but $707 is supposedly the price of this. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem feasible. It sounds like something somebody cooked up and they're excited about it, but it's just not feasible in today's time. Like people don't have is it ancillary? People don't have ancillary devices for every single thing now. We all like to have one device. So I don't see why people would buy additional devices to add confusion to their life.
Yeah, just something like you have to have the extra money for this, and then really be in the music, like albums.
And I think we hit the nail right on the head on this because they launched this 20 days ago or something like that. Maybe sooner than that, but it only has $6,000 backed so far, and their goal is $659,000 to launch this product. So people don't want it. People aren't paying to have something like this. It's like you said, it's cool in theory, but why?
Well, like you're paying for the Kickstarter, and then you have to buy it.
And
Like,
also, you probably have to buy each album on there, and then you also probably have to contact your favorite artist and say, "Hey, could you release the album on my special device that maybe 50 people have?" And those 50 people probably don't listen to the same music you do. So this whole business model makes zero sense.
yeah, I agree.
So that's the dumb tech of the week. I think that's the first one we have that's literally dumb. Like inexcusable tech. And this guy was working on it for 10 years
It's
and
it's
he should have just kept working on it.
well, you can tell it's a passion project. This is
Yeah, I
something
mean,
like reading like the article, like you can tell he's really passionate about it, but I think it's just a niche thing that you have to get people involved in. It's just the price tag's too high for it.
yeah,
But
if
that's
you really want that album artwork, just buy the CD and you can look at the physical artwork.
well, like the PlayStation 5 and Xbox X just came out and no cheaper than this, and you can do so much more with them.
That's true. You can listen to Spotify on them. So unlimited music. What's the next story we got now, Alex?
Well, we want to go over the sound. We're talking about music. We want to go over the sound beam.
Yeah, might as well. Let's hop into the sound beam. So
This yeah, sorry,
there,
the sound beamer. I'm
the
sorry.
sound beamer. Oh, sorry. Don't want to confuse this one. Um, there's a company out there called Navito, and they are making a speaker that can privately beam sound directly to your ears. And so, like, if you're in the living room listening to music or like exercising or pretty much doing anything and you don't want the rest of your household to hear it, it can beam the sound directly to your ears. And
Yes.
it's
So like
weird.
like so you have to be in like a certain area, and then you can hear it. Like the waves will hit your ears, and you can hear it. With like how your ears are designed and all, they can pick up the sound. If you're outside of it, you may be able to hear a little bit, but really wouldn't register with you. I have a firm belief that this was designed by wives whose husbands play video games in the room with them.
I think it's more nefarious than that, Alex.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of innocent. Yeah, I'm sure some wives out there invented some ultra beamer
I
sound
think
thing
I think they're tired of hearing people play Call of Duty, gunshots, and loud explosions and all.
and hearing
Uh,
people curse on chat and
yeah,
like
so
and
this
the
way,
kids in the room hearing that.
and this way,
Yeah,
the
I
husbands
get what
can
you're
sit
saying.
there, play their video games, and not, and then they don't have the excuse of like, oh, I had my headphones on and I couldn't hear you.
No, the reason why I'm saying I think it's more nefarious than that, because this is scary technology. It beams ultrasonic audio directly outside of your ear canal, and then it becomes audible. So nobody around you can hear a thing. We mentioned that, but it can detect you in the room and kind of beam it, like direct it towards you. So the reason why I'm saying it's nefarious, what if every store you go to in the mall has one of these and it can direct ads, shoot audio ads directly into your ears without bothering other customers?
So is it just like whispering, buy the PS5, buy the PS5, buy in the store?
Yeah. I mean, they could use this for all sorts of things. They said they're trying to sell it to um, home theater companies, home fitness, automotive. It might be useful like in the automotive industry if like you're driving your car and your car can send you like some sort of alert directly to your ear.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess that could be useful.
I know immediately when you said nefarious purposes, I thought of like magicians or like like oh they can have somebody like telling them what the card is from like off stage that can see it and just beam it directly to them. That's where my mind went.
That's that's probably the funniest thing I've ever heard. I would have said maybe Jeopardy, like they could beam the answers to the person on stage or something along those lines. But I guess there's countless different ways you could go with it, but I still think it's scary that companies could possibly do this. I don't want to be bombarded with sound everywhere I go.
I think that technology would have to get a lot better before that could happen. Like I don't see like they didn't really say like the range of this thing. So I don't know if it can pick up multiple people. Is it just beam to one person and like how far away they could do it? I still think we're on like the early stages. Like this isn't supposed to come out until December 2021.
Yeah, so it's early stages. We'll see what this company does with it, but I'm sure there's other companies working with it and trying to sell the rights to it to Google or Amazon or stuff like that.
You can also like make people go crazy with this, right? Like you can convince them that they're hearing voices over
Yeah,
time.
you could use it as a super weapon, scare enemy troops. Yeah, you could use it for all sorts of different things. I think it's just kind of an interesting concept because I've not really heard of something like that before. No pun intended.
Well, this is newer technology coming out in the future. Let's talk about technology that doesn't seem like it's going to be around. Well, it's going to be around a little bit longer, but not that much longer. The UK announced that it might ban the sales of fossil fuel cars by 2030. This is 5 years earlier than they originally had planned.
So no, I can't like dig up fossils anymore and just put them into my fuel tank.
No,
Oh dang.
they're getting rid of the gas guzzlers.
Yeah, this is I like this move. And Honda and Toyota do not, and I'm sure a lot of manufacturers do not because they are kind of behind on Tesla and other electric car manufacturers. So I think it's pushing these companies too quickly to get to the finish line. And also, I think it will hit their bottom dollar a lot because they've already invested a lot of money in manufacturing of internal combustion engine cars.
No, I think the issue is like they're fine with like they originally was thought like hybrids would be around and they can still sell hybrids until 2035, which Toyota and Honda really they're really big into that market. But like we're starting to see a trend of these cars. Who was it? Bentley last month announced that in like 2030 they're no longer making uh,
Gas engine cars. Yeah.
yeah, like you're seeing a lot of cars go to this electric format. I was just reading an article about electric trucks, and like every truck is company is making a electric truck, like Ford, Dodge, Nissan. The article was kind of saying like, who's the market for this? But like, I feel like we keep pushing it off, but these electric cars are coming. Like
And they're
those
getting better and better and better. Like 300-mile range on a lot of these cars now. That's as good as a gas fuel tank, and you can charge these things up really quick now. Um, I think some of these manufacturers are really pushing back for another reason, and that's because a lot of their money comes from repairs and like maintenance. And electric cars have a lot less repairs and a lot less maintenance needed. So they're not going to be able to make as much money off their repair centers. Yeah, we had quick technical difficulties. Alex had to switch out his mic, and we're back.
Okay. So yeah, going back to our talk on fossil fuels, but also what the UK is doing is they're putting like $660 million into building like the electric EV stations for these charging cars. So like if that's going to happen for these companies like countries worldwide and companies like we're going to have to start putting money in the more charging stations instead of like 5 that they have in parking lots now.
Yeah, so if they're going to move everybody that drastically that quick, then yeah, they're going to have to build a huge infrastructure and quickly. I don't think they have as many drivers in the UK as we do. Their cities are closer, a lot less commuting than America would have. I would believe.
Yeah, I always said like 2050 would be like I think where everybody's driving electric cars.
That makes sense. Yeah, I would agree with that. I guess the only downside to this would be maybe companies wouldn't be able to switch their manufacturing in time and people would be out of jobs. I think that's the only thing I could think of is like job loss of because I'm sure some manufacturing will go away because there's a lot of people that supply parts and manufacturing uh, support for those standard cars.
That is true. I didn't think about that. But
So that's the only downside I can really think of because everything else is pretty upside. Also, we probably have to come up with better ways and more efficient ways to build batteries and recycle them. So that's another thing. But I'm sure the battery issue is probably better than the gas issue. Neither idea is perfect, but batteries is the way to go, I believe.
they could do what they do with like uranium and all, and they're stored in a big underground bunker for thousands of years.
Send it to the moon.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go to the moon anyways. It sucks. So just send all of our junk there.
Yeah.
I'm all for turning the moon into a trash heap, garbage place.
Yeah, I agree.
I think get rid of the snake here, send it all to the moon. I'm all for that. What are you gonna kill? There's no animals there.
We don't know. There could be life forms.
Yeah, don't want to kill those microscopic creatures.
I saw this documentary where they went to the dark side of the moon. There's these giant like robots that could transform into different things.
I don't think that was a documentary, Alex.
I think so.
Yeah, you're excited about Thanksgiving. We have a Thanksgiving episode coming out next week, and you like to hang out with your fam. And I think Zoom announced something that you were pretty excited about. You sent that over to me the other day.
Yeah, I just think it's kind of neat. So Zoom, as most people know, has like a 40-minute limit for like free usage. So like if you're talking to somebody after 40 minutes, you have to redo the start the call over and all. But for Thanksgiving, they're just doing it unlimited time limit. So November 26th at midnight to 6 a.m. on November 27th, you can Zoom with somebody as long as possible.
Who came up with the 40-minute arbitrary Zoom limit?
I don't know. I saw Google Meetings or Hangout, wherever, has a 15-minute limit. So like a couple of them, like they're limiting. So like buy the next package up or pay, join or whatever.
And video calling is really huge right now because everybody's stuck at home due to coronavirus. So yeah. I understand they're trying to get people to use their service. Plus, they're trying to get people to stay home. And I guess maybe the government paid them off a little bit. Like, hey, can you keep people from going to Thanksgiving with each other? Because we don't want this virus to spread.
Well, I think it's just free like advertisements. I saw it on the news. yeah, Zoom.
It worked. So video calling is so important right now for like education and working from home and all sorts of things. So, like, everything's moving to video for a lot of purposes. And right now, there's a lot of people left behind if we went that way. Like I looked up the stats, and 3.7 billion people do not currently have access to the internet at all. And I found that really troublesome.
Well, I think most people today think like, yeah, everybody has the internet except for like people in like literally the middle of nowhere. But it's a big part of the population, even like, in like North America, those are areas that people don't have internet access because it's not feasible or economical for these companies to build, telecommunications out in like the middle of nowhere.
20 minutes from my house, like one of my friends lived out in the country a little bit. I live in Kentucky, or close to Cincinnati. In 20 minutes from my house, my friend still had to get old school satellite internet. And everybody knows satellite internet is the worst, or at least was the worst. Have you ever used satellite internet?
I don't believe so. I mean, I lived in big cities my whole life.
Gotcha. Yeah, satellite internet. The current offerings is pretty bad. Like you can't make a video call or at least a stable video call from satellite internet currently. But I think all that's about to change.
With more satellites.
Yeah, a lot more. Because
So
our favorite company, well, not our, I mean, my favorite company,
yeah,
SpaceX,
yeah, you stay, you keep me out of that.
keep you out of that.
Yeah.
They're launching a service called Starlink. And have you heard of Starlink, Alex?
Not before we started researching this, but it seems pretty cool.
Yeah, the reason why I think it has a leg up on the competition of existing satellites, because those have been around for like 15, 20 years, existing satellite internet. This is a completely new like take on it. And it's designed to like get internet to all those customers out there that can't currently access the internet or get good internet. So that's a huge customer base, and they're underserved customers or customers that aren't served at all. And there's a couple of companies that are building this new satellite network. I think you said that Amazon was building one, right?
Yeah, Amazon's building one. Google's doing this like own similar thing, but it's not technically the same thing. At one point, there was like 10 companies that were involved in it. Some have gone belly up since then, but it's a market that people are seeing. So let's go back to the old satellite internet and like why it was so bad. These satellites are designed to last 15 or 20 years. And as everybody knows, technology over that span is going to change and get better and faster. And they're not designed for that. They're just designed to be up there and doing what they're doing. And like they take like 4 years to build. So even then, they're kind of starting to get behind on modern technology.
And
So
they're
like,
22,000 miles away. Like
yeah,
that's how high up they are. And these
yeah.
Starlink ones are only 340 miles away. So like they're so much closer, and the internet signal can get to you so much quicker. It's astounding the difference.
Well, so and what the Starlink is doing, they're doing like I don't want to say miniature, but they're a lot smaller. So
They
there's a
said the
lot,
size of a table.
yeah. So those, I think, said Starlink wants to get up to like 9,000 that they would have,
Oh,
and
they're doing a lot more than that. They said they wanted to get up to 12,000 early on, but their real dream is like 30,000 satellites.
and like also the big difference between that is like one or two of those go down is not as bad as one satellite going down that's handling all of it. So
Well,
like,
let's take this into account real quick. They would have close to 12,000 to 30,000 satellites. Currently, the existing amount of satellites that are in the sky right now are only 2,000. So 2,000 satellites for all the services and all the countries. Everybody only has 2,000 active satellites right now, and they said over the whole history of sending up satellites, there's only been 9,000 in total satellites. So they're going to quadruple that number within the coming years just for their internet service. I think that's crazy.
it's crazy, and it's also like what people are kind of worried about. You
Well,
know,
I don't necessarily think that. I saw the people that were worried about were saying that they can't see the stars or
yeah,
eh,
they're
I
saying
can't
that.
I can't study the sky. Oh well.
Well, if we can't study the sky, then how will we know that aliens are coming, Mike?
That's true. How do we know? But I'm sure we can put telescopes that are higher altitude so they won't have to take those satellites into account. And
But
the traditional satellites turn into space junk because they're so far away from Earth, and that can become a really huge problem. Whereas the Starlink ones are so close to orbit, they're designed to be slowly pulled in to Earth and burn up in the atmosphere. So they're designed to be obsolete and burn up. whereas the other satellites stay up there far, far longer and turn into space junk, which can be very, very dangerous.
But yeah, going back to like the astronomers complaining, they're saying that the two, like right now, the satellites are a lot brighter than even the SpaceX thought they were going to be. So like they didn't plan once they got up there that they would be that bright. Like right now, they're working on coating them with darker paint to see if that will help. Also, the issue with them shooting off so much is like other things that are going up in the sky, or having to do more evasive
Maneuvers. Yeah, so
maneuvers.
so I guess other like craft like launching into space would have to like
Yeah,
figure out a way to dodge this.
and
And it's such a huge space, but still like when you're flying within that like belt of satellites, it can become a problem if there's just a whole bunch of them up there because Amazon's looking to launch thousands of satellites. Starlink's looking to launch thousands of satellites. So there's all these startups that are looking to launch thousands of satellites. That can turn into a huge problem quickly.
well, right now with the launch of Starlink, the U.S. government saying there's a probability of like 1 in 1,000 of colliding with the Starlink up there, and you're again adding
Colliding
Amazon,
with like themselves or colliding with
well, like
another space.
other people shooting stuff up in the sky.
Gotcha. Yeah. There's definitely going to have to be more regulation in place going forward because right now SpaceX is kind of like it's like the Wild Wild West right now. They're just they because before governments would take care of all this stuff and basically a government would shoot stuff into space. SpaceX is like one of the first private organizations or companies to send stuff into space, and they developed a lot of proprietary things. Like they developed a rocket that can be recycled and reused. So they're on the cutting edge of this, but they also don't want to be regulated. They don't want the government to shut them down. They don't want the government to tell them what to do.
Yeah, well, just this week they launched the SpaceX Dragon to the International Space Station with like 4 astronauts on it, I think. 3 from the US and 1 from Japan.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track of all of that because they do so many launches every like it almost seems like monthly now.
Well, like part of the reasoning that they're doing Starlink is to fund the rocket program. They're saying they believe the revenue from Starlink would be enough to support the SpaceX rocket division.
And if they get enough customers, I think they probably would be able to, because there's a lot of customers out there that are waiting for good internet.
So they just launched last month or earlier this month.
Yeah, there's actually a beta you
yeah.
can sign up for.
So the price is, so you have to get a setup. So you have to get like the system to set it up first, and that's a base price of $500 like upfront, and then it's $99 a month after that.
Yeah, so just like any satellite type of product, like if you have satellite TV, you have to have a dish or some sort of like receiver, and you're not going to be able to get satellite connection like on a cell phone or something like that. You're going to have to use a receiver on your house, or they said they're going to put them in like they said that these satellites are so advanced that they're going to be able to beam internet to a moving high-speed train just fine. So they're pretty advanced, but if you're using it for personal use, you're going to have to beam it down to your home and then use a Wi-Fi router to send out the signal from there. So it's still Wi-Fi once it gets to you, but the actual internet connection coming to your house is through that satellite. Yeah. And a lot of people are saying that it's pretty expensive. Like you said, the buy-in is like $500. So that's still really expensive for like poorer income people or people who are like in the middle of nowhere or in third world countries. So they said that a lot of these things are going to have to be subsidized by governments or other methods or nonprofits to get internet to these underserved people.
Yeah, and I think they're starting at these underserved people, these 3.5 billion. I think the goal is eventually just to take aim at traditional, like, fiber optics, the internet, and all.
I mean, it's fast enough to compete. They said it runs at about 4G speed, so like what you traditionally get from your smartphone right now.
Yeah.
I looked at the speeds just curious because of how, like I said earlier, how bad old satellite internet was, and it's just so much faster. It's almost faster than the internet I have in my house now. Like internet speeds are like in like how fast the data transfers, but also there's what's called latency. That's like the delay. And the old satellites had such a high delay that you'd get stuttering or like lag, all sorts of stuff. And these new satellites are so much faster that has better latency than my wired internet, which is pretty crazy. So if they can match or even come close to existing internet plus the pricing, then I could see them stealing customers. You think that's their goal?
Yeah, it's everybody's goal is to be making the most money possible, and that would just they already had the satellites, and I think if this gets reliable enough, it will give you more options in like the areas where you only have like one internet provider, and
Yeah,
these like smaller towns where it's just like Charter or Comcast or
yeah.
you know,
I honestly think it's a long shot for them to compete in big cities at all.
yeah,
I don't think it's possible. Like you're saying, it's definitely going to be in like I live in a suburb of Cincinnati, so I don't get the best internet connection out in Kentucky where I live. It's better than a lot of rural areas, but still not as good as it could be. I would be interested in service like this, but you live in more of a Cincinnati closer to Cincinnati. You have a lot more internet options available to you.
yeah. I think we have two or three maybe. Um, and like they offer like the high speed fiber optics and
Yeah,
things now.
all sorts of stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
and with like Amazon and all these big tech companies getting into this, didn't you say that there was a big issue or like with net neutrality with this?
Well, I think just in general, I don't know if it's like the issue like the government now, because the government has the FCC has done away with net neutrality. And for people who don't know what it is, it's just that if you have an internet provider, they have to allow access to like any site or service equally. That's what net neutrality is. They can't control like what you're going to or slow down speeds for one website or another. But if you have like a company with Amazon, they're getting involved in like your internet provider. Let's say that they're not slowing down access to Walmart.com. They're probably the biggest competitor in like online sales right now. Or
Yeah,
like
you're right.
another,
I didn't even think of like Amazon getting into this that they could do something like that. But yeah,
yeah,
it's true. They could probably that's always a scare is like if a big company that has their hand in a lot of different things, if they take over the internet, which is a should be a free commodity or like an
well,
open commodity.
yeah, and like there was no one was clamoring for net. We'll get on. We'll talk about net neutrality more on another episode. No one
Yeah, if
was
we
like,
ever get a lawyer on here.
yeah, no one was like clamoring for it. The only one that was clamoring for it was internet companies. To most people, you should just want open internet channels to be able to, stream everything at the same speed or go to any website at the same speed, and not let your internet provider dictate how fast it goes. Um,
But yeah, I think that's like once this stuff gets established, I think that could be like a worry. But I still see a lot more pros to this than cons.
well, yeah, I
And
think
there's not really any other good method besides digging up the earth to get internet to people out in the middle of nowhere. Because there's mountains that block signals. There's most internet either relies on line of sight or digging tunnels for wires or putting up structures for wires.
one of those reasons why companies haven't built internet in these areas because it's not worth the
It's not
time
worth
and
their yeah.
effort. It's not worth the money. They don't see it. But if you can get to them cheaply and get to these areas and get to that population, then it would be worth it.
And I think it would change a lot. It would help these smaller or like remote areas like keep up with the rest of the world because a lot of people are being left behind, and that's
Yeah.
kind of sad. It's kind of scary.
Well, yeah, even like places in America where people don't have internet and you think they all should, you know. Going back to like the light, like the how bright they are, I do think light pollution is a big problem.
Oh
And I
yeah,
do
of course, yeah, light pollution is a huge problem, but I highly doubt that they're going to provide that much light. But again, I didn't see that part of the article, so I didn't really see like how much light it was actually.
I think the worry is if there's too many, like so many up there, that it might interfere with things like that. But they are looking into it because they said even SpaceX was
Yeah.
didn't realize how bright they would be.
Well, because there's not many satellites that are at that low of orbit.
Yeah.
Most of them are at that 22,000-mile orbit. And if you go outside in a really dark night and look up, and if you look closely enough, you can see satellites orbiting every once in a while. You just see this little blinking light fly back past. You'll see a little blinking light fly past. So you can see satellites currently, and there's only 9,000 of them up there. So just imagine, I guess, when there's 100,000 of them up there and they're 3 times as close. Yeah, I kind of think that might become a problem.
I mean, I see one every night when I look up. The moon.
The largest satellite ever.
I don't think so.
On that note, you want to sign off?
Yeah, thanks for listening to Future Jam today. We're again sorry for any audio issues we had earlier. My computer crapped out on me. But check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the
Yeah.
Future Jam. Give us a call at 513 Bot Cola if you have any topics that you want to talk about. And rate and review us on Apple.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Alex, for all that helpful information. I'm hopeful that we'll see a call come through because I'd like to hear from y'all. I had a lot of fun tonight, Alex. We'll see y'all next week. Very special Thanksgiving Day episode. But until then, enjoy your holidays.